Norwegian traveler Harald Baldr has spent the last few years adventuring all over the world. His latest stop is currently in the country of India. One afternoon, Harald decided that he'd like to get a haircut. Upon visiting a local roadside salon, the barber tasked with cutting Harald's hair would soon see his life changed in a huge way. Let's start from the beginning with this story, though. Hello, wonderful people. I'm Scott Leffler for WonderBot, and here is... After receiving a haircut, what this man does next leaves his barber speechless. Harald Baldr is a traveler from the country of Norway. Recently, Baldr's primary source of income has been from his vlogging exploits on YouTube. He's traveled all over the world, including to the continents of North America, South America, Europe, and Asia. Over the last month, Harald has been traveling all through India. He had a travel partner named Mr. Bald, though recently the two have gone their separate ways. After traversing through much of India, Harald ended up in the western city of Ahmedabad. Harald loves interacting with people on the streets. Positioned with a personal camera, Harald documents many of the activities he participates in. This includes going to local markets, exploring dwellings, visiting local schools, and also eating native cuisine. His recent travels to India have resulted in a rather large following on his YouTube page. One day, Harald was walking down the street in Ahmedabad. As is customary in India, one can get a haircut on the street for a very reasonable price. Pop-up salons are scattered all over the place. It enables people to get a quick cut before continuing on with their day. Harald ultimately decided that he needed a trim. Harald spotted a small makeshift salon across the road from where he was staying. A man named Mangalal Valad was cleaning the area around his small shop. All the man had was a small chair, one mirror, one table, and a small quantity of hair products. Though it was shabby in nature, Harald decided to take the plunge and get his haircut. Using an electric razor, the man meticulously shaved the sides of Harald's head. Though there was a clear language barrier, Harald and Mangalal had an obvious respect for one another. For over 20 minutes, Mangalal treated Harald as if he was a king. At the end of the haircut, something rather unexpected occurred. Mangalal asked Harald if he could take a selfie with him. Harald obliged and even remarked at how good of a job Mangalal did, particularly when compared with his previous haircuts in Europe. Normally, a haircut can range anywhere from $20 to $50. You'll never believe how much Mangalal charged Harald for the cut. Mangalal only charged Harald 20 rupees for the cut. In American dollars, this comes to roughly 30 cents. Impressed with Mangalal's honesty and not trying to rip him off, Harald offered this thought. That was pure honesty. He told me straight up it was 20 rupees. He could have asked for 100 rupees and I wouldn't have flinched. I reckon this is the best candidate I've found on my travels so far for a little extra reward. Harald frantically began searching for someone who could translate his English to Mangalal. Fortunately, a man walking on the street volunteered his services in connecting Harald with Mangalal. Harald began asking questions in an attempt to learn about Mangalal's life. What he heard was both heartwarming and sad at the same time. Mangalal admitted that he was married with 2 children. His life revolves around 12-hour shifts at his makeshift barbershop. He works 365 days a year in order to provide for his family. All of this, coupled with Mangalal's out-of-date haircut tools, led Harald to make a rather generous decision. Harald took out a large chunk of money. Through the translator, he told Mangalal that he appreciated his terrific service and that he wanted to help Mangalal buy some new equipment for his business. Harald handed Mangalal 30,000 rupees, which is the equivalent of $400. Mangalal became very emotional. Harald had a Patreon account which allowed for his YouTube followers to pay him money. During his travels, Harald decided that he would donate 100% of his earnings to those in need. For the month of January, his Patreon followers donated $400, which ultimately went to Mangalal. Little did Harald realize that this benevolent gift would become a viral story all over India. At the same time, it would change Mangalal's life forever. The next day, Mangalal became a local celebrity. Television crews, media personalities, radio programs, and journalists flocked to Mangalal's shop on the side of the road. His name was plastered all over the local news. Eventually, he became widely known, not only in India, but also in other parts of the world. Mangalal's business then boomed to epic proportions. He was able to raise the average price of his haircuts and seemingly always had a line of people wanting to grab a quick cut. He even had a laminated copy of a newspaper article detailing his story on the shop's mirror. Mangalal's wife was skeptical of the newfound fame. She was shocked at the money he brought home that afternoon. After being in disbelief, Mangalal showed her the selfie of himself and Harald in order to corroborate the story. Mangalal took this money to buy himself new equipment. He also spent some on his young daughter's education, as well as buying his young son a Lionel Messi soccer jersey. Once Mangalal became famous, Harald returned to his shop in order to film an impromptu interview. Harald marveled at the amount of people huddled around Mangalal's shop. It was also revealed that Harald's good deed was captured in multiple local newspaper articles, along with pictures of him from his past YouTube videos. Virtually overnight, both Harald and Mangalal became internet sensations. During the visit, multiple journalists interviewed Harald as he got another quick trim. Mangalal was so appreciative of Harald that he made him breakfast in anticipation of him coming to visit. When Harald went to pay for the quick trim, Mangalal refused to accept any payment. As Harald was leaving the roadside shop, the two men embraced with a firm handshake. With a group of people standing around the shop, Harald departed with one final sentiment. "The best hairdresser, man. Everyone should come and get haircuts from this man." The story of Harald Baldr and Mangalal Valand is quite moving. Despite being from two completely different cultures, both bonded over the simple act of getting a haircut. More importantly, each had respect for one another. In today's climate, we could all follow the example set forth by Harald and Mangalal.